Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. There was a space that happened not too long ago, like an hour ago, where Mams, Keem, Wade were all giving their opinion, and Anthony Taylor, about the situation with King Kenny versus Anthony Taylor or King Kenny versus Jarvis. They were all giving their opinion. This space actually was not recorded. I don't know if Mams knows how to record his spaces. He might not. But the space wasn't recorded, so I screen recorded it for you guys that are going to miss it. I'm not monetizing this video, so there's going to be no ads. All of them, basically, from when I was listening to the space, are on Anthony's side when it comes to him fighting King Kenny. They think that's the right choice. And that's what I believe. That's what I agree with as well. Like, Jarvis cannot fight on the Prime card. Like, I like Jarvis. I don't mind watching him fight. But he has never fought on Misfits. Like, he doesn't deserve to fight on October 14th the same way that Anthony Taylor does. So I agree with what they were saying. And they all were agreeing with each other. Wade, Keemstar, Mams, all of them were in agreement on that. And even the small council, Leon thinks the same, and BJ. So it's just the truth at this point. This is for the people who wanted to hear from what Mams, Keem and Anthony Taylor and Wade wanted to say about the situation, but ended up missing it. So yeah, listen if you want to.
AT space, I just wanted to get it off my chest, if I can, about my thinking on this whole thing with AT and why he deserves to be in the position he's in. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. The floor is yours first, Mams. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm just looking for a gummy to relax. I don't know where the hell I put them. But aside from that, this is my thinking. AT has been an incredibly loyal person to Misfits boxing. That goes a long way. He's also shown what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, where his level is at. And AT, I hope you don't get insulted by me saying this, but you wouldn't, in my opinion, AT wouldn't go super far as a traditional pro boxer, okay? I don't mean that in any insulting way. I think he fits in this space because we saw his level tested against Idris Virgo, who's a decent boxer, and we saw him against Salt Papi. And the reason that fight was made was because Salt Papi was calling out the KSIs, the Tommy Furies, and the Jake Pauls, and he thought he was ready for that level. And AT was a great gatekeeper for that test, as a test for Salt Papi. And AT won. And it wasn't like he didn't batter Salt Papi. It was a pretty close fight. It was probably 3-rounder. It was 2 rounds to 1 to AT, in my opinion. I think the judges saw it that way as well. And if Salt Papi fights AT out of 10 times, I think 5 times would go either way at this point. I think, also digressing a little, Salt Papi has improved a lot since then. And I think that was, his coach tells me as well, and he tells me the best thing that ever happened to him was that loss, because he was becoming complacent and relying on the same weapons for every fight. So I don't think that's a big L for Salt Papi. I've seen people say like, oh, you're destroying your star potential in Salt Papi by feeding him to AT. It wasn't the case. It was a good test. He went back. Now he's gone back and rebuilt himself. Let's see how he does in his next fight. Kenny and AT is a much closer fight. That actually, I saw a lot of votes saying 50-50. Kenny has improved tremendously, and AT is a great test for Kenny. And AT also deserves to be in the conversation and in the mix because he beat Salt Papi, and he's pretty much been he's been a great friend to Misfits boxing. He's taken on the challenges. He's never said no to anything. And I think there's any downside. If AT wins, this guy has worked his ass off to be in a position to be champion. And Kenny would be a great champion too, who's won 2 fights in a row. So like, it would make a lot more sense to me than Jarvis, who I love to have Jarvis on Misfits Boxing. We've spoken about this. We'd love to have him on, but we've never had a relationship before this. It's the prime card, so suddenly everyone wants to be a part of it. But Jarvis went to Kingpin, and Jarvis had one win and one loss, and the loss with Gibb was a pretty convincing loss. It wasn't a close fight. And why would we bring Jarvis, who could become a big asset, right into the deep end to fight King Kenny, lose to King Kenny most likely at this point? Not saying forever; things can change. And then Jarvis is basically, he comes in with two losses in a row, and it destroys his star potential, if anything. So that's my reasoning, and love to know what you guys think.
I think.
I mean,
Uh,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, wait. I think personally that AT should get the fight with Kenny. He's put in the work. He's been in the scene from the
with the Saul Papi fight, I think it was more so just the influencer fan and all of us that watched him lose that fight and went, well, okay, well, I guess he's not, ready for that star power either, ready for that limelight. But in retrospect, you look at it, and it's a skill issue, right? It's not the same, and I just said this to the community. It's not the same as like when Idris Virgo is wanting to fight Slim, or when Idris wants to fight Name the Influencer. It's not the same thing. So I don't mind Kenny with, again, 6 fights now. If he wants to challenge himself and the big prize is that belt, saying, all right, yeah, let's do it. Me and Anthony Taylor, because the amount of value he accrues from the win, in my opinion, outweighs that, I guess, the idea of his star power going away from a loss. Kenny's already shown that a loss doesn't necessarily define him. And I've been trying to scream this from the rooftops about influencer boxing. If we're so scared of losses, if we become normal boxing, we're so terrified of losses, the scene will die.
It'll die.
We'll be afraid to fight.
And you're so right, Wade. This is exactly on point, because at the end of the day, Deji is the first example I always go to. 3 losses in a row. Who the hell thought anyone could come back from that? But that is what influencer boxing is about. Pineda took a horrible loss, and he's become a star. Like, that guy gets, yes, it's a novelty, and I get the gimmick and everything, but that guy gets the second loudest pop of the night every time he shows up. And Pineda is technically a pro. So AT is technically a pro. You could look at it like Overt Flow is technically a pro, because they fought on pro cards and they've had a pro fight. There's levels to it. Idris is obviously a higher level pro than the rest of the guys. So we would never put Idris against Overt Flow. We would never put Idris against most of the roster on the influencer side. And that's why I'm so keen to kick off this pro division, so we keep things separate. So there is the influencer side of things. We don't want to have a big skill gap in the fights if we can help it. We don't want to have that. But I don't think, and again, no offense to you, AT, you're amazing. You entertain and you put in so much hard work to connect, and you've grown a fan base, and you've done everything that Misfits is about. And I'd love for you to have this opportunity. And I don't think the skill gap between Kenny and AT is as much as people initially believed. So it's a great test. Whoever wins that fight deserves that title, essentially.
Like, we're not talking about
100%.
We're not talking about Anthony Taylor in an MMA fight versus Kenny, which would, granted, be ridiculous. This is not something that we would put on, right? Like, of course not.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
We're talking about a boxing match where both guys are similar. Like, yes, Anthony Taylor is trained.
We got Fox.
100%, my guy. What's up, everyone?
How
you...
people saw that post? That's more people that's going to be showing up at the event.
Well, this is the thing, AT. You don't have the fan base and the years of accumulated fans that Jarvis does, and you got 48%. Even before Keem started campaigning, even before the beta squad started to counter campaign, you had 48% of the vote. That's pretty damn impressive. So obviously these votes are tough because Jarvis has more popularity than you because he's been in that, influencer scene for a lot longer than you. So I think that's a testament to how many people actually recognize what a good fight that would be.
No, I appreciate you saying that, sir. And I love Misfits. Misfits is home to me, and I want to finish my career with Misfits at the end of the day.
100. Hey, yo, man, can I get close so I can bring people up or not?
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, 100%, my guy. 100%.
Can someone invite Wade back?
Yeah, I'm gonna get him in here real quick. Yeah, 100%.
Anthony Taylor versus Kenny. You have Fred Beck, who wants Anthony Taylor versus Kenny. You have Wade, who wants Anthony Taylor versus Kenny. It's the entire community.
Because to be honest, I think that's a more exciting fight. I don't want to see, and no disrespect to Jarvis. You know what? I really respect the balls on Jarvis because he said, "Give me Salt Papi, give me Kenny, give me whoever." He's down. He's down to fight, and that's the right attitude to have. But I don't want to see Jarvis lose 2 in a row. That screws any chance of me and him building his brand on Misfits boxing. I mean, yes, losing is not the be all and end all, and there can be. I just contradicted myself because I just said Deji's an example of someone who can lose 3 in a row. But why put yourself in that hole to dig yourself out of anyway? Let's get Jarvis on a card where he can fight someone that's maybe on a similar experience level to him. Then hopefully he does well, shines, and then these fights are still going to be there. It's not the last ever prime card we're gonna do. It's not the last ever Super Bowl we're gonna do. We're gonna carry on, and we're gonna have other pay-per-views that are gonna be sick as well. And there's gonna be other cards where there's plenty of opportunities. I want to see Jarvis versus McBroom. To be honest with you, I think that's a more even fight.
I agree.
That
I
fight
agree.
happens. The winner of that fight has some redemption from their previous loss, and they both lost to Gibb. That fight makes sense. Why would Jarvis come in and just get a title shot straight off the bat after a pretty bad loss to Gibb? It makes no sense.
Facts.
And there's Jarvis has never fought in Misfits. Like, you're gonna come to Misfits and your first fight is gonna be at the Super Bowl. Like, that doesn't make sense.
And if there was room, I don't mind that if there was room and if there was the right fight for him and everything else. But it's already it's a packed out card and it's going to be.
Do you think he deserves a title shot instantly?
No, I don't. I'm saying he
Okay.
doesn't, but you know who does? AT fucking does.
100%.
AT's worked his arse off. It's not a secret. I gave AT Idris Virgo because I was pissed at AT for the Dylan Dennis stunt because it could have jeopardized the main event that never happened with KSI and Dylan Dennis. And I said, you want to fight on Misfits? You want to be a tough guy? I'm going to give you Idris Virgo. Let's see how you do with him. And I even halved his pay. Anthony, am I lying?
You are not lying. You tell the truth.
AT?
And you know what I said when you called me that day, Columbia?
Yeah, I remember what you said. You said you took it on the chin and said, you know what? I'll take it like a man and let's bring it. I'll go for Idris and I'm going to win. And you went for it. And I respected that so much that after that, I said, okay, you know what? You took that on the chin. Let's get you a really good fight. Let's give you great opportunities. And we built a good relationship based on that. Obviously, the Dylan Dennis thing, in hindsight, yes, it was a viral moment and everything else. But at that time, I was highly pissed about it because it devalued my main event,
Yo, Nico is on some bullshit, though. Nico's running around telling people that I paid people to vote for Anthony Taylor. That is not true.
No, Keem, I'm pretty sure you didn't pay anyone to do that.
Yo, Keem, like I was saying earlier, my Cash App's not working, so can you send it through my PayPal?
Stop it. Bro, they're going to clip that and run with that narrative.
I'm just kidding. He didn't pay me.
Hey, 100%, my guy, 100%.
Yo,
Hey, Mams. And I said,
want to hear funny.
Go ahead, King.
Wait. You got to hear this, right? So I hit up Dylan Dennis and I was like, "Yo, could you vote for Anthony?" He's like, "No, fuck that dude. He sucker punched me."
Hey, in the clip, I didn't sucker punch him. He came right at me, and I got scared, so I threw overhead right.
You say you got scared?
You gotta admit though, that's pretty funny though.
Bro, I'm like 5'1", bro. You saw the clip on the Salt Papi fight, 5'1". Now, but at the end of the day, we know King Kenny's not scared of me. It's Daily Perales who's scared of me, his brother. And he's like, I don't want you fighting Anthony Taylor. He's a scary dude.
I don't think so, AT. I think it's the Beta Squad. I think it's like his friends that are like,
right. The Beta, you mean the Omega Squad? I call them the Omega Squad.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, look, Nico's running a campaign to fight anyone other than AT.
Well, I can tell you this: Kenny was not afraid of AT, so I don't know why suddenly everyone else gets involved and puts ideas in his head. I spoke to Kenny, I spoke to Coach, and they were both very confident. So,
Mams, didn't Kenny want to fight AT since Misfits 02, I believe?
I don't know. I don't know. Like Kenny, I respect Kenny because he's always been straight with me in terms of, hey, I'm not ready to fight this guy, but I will be. I just got to train a little more, and I'm not gonna push someone to fight if they're not confident. You know, listen. Even for this 009 card, we had Kimbo Slice Jr. Fighting, and he got injured. He had a pretty bad injury, so he had to pull out and against Ashley Raksu. And then I was like, damn, I really, really want to get Raksu on a card. I promised him a fight this year. Again, after the King Kenny fight, I wanted him to have a decent challenge, and Slice Jr. was a decent challenge, obviously, but I couldn't find anyone in time. And you know what? Halal Ham said, bro, I can beat him. I've been training. I've improved so much. I've been training. I'm like, I don't believe that that's going to happen, but are you sure? And he's like, yes, speak to my coach. I can do it. I've come a long way. I'm going to upset this guy. All right, interesting story. Let's run it. We don't, or cancel Ashley Raksu from having an opportunity of fighting. So when shit like that happens, it happens, and there's nothing much you can do. So it's about the fighter feeling confident. What I don't want is to push a fighter. If a fighter says, hey, you know what, if they're honest and they're like, I really don't think I'm ready for this fight. I don't think I'll win. Think I'll get beat up pretty bad. I'm not excited about it. Then you have to respect that. And it's not a duck. It's just like, okay, you know what? I need more time to catch up to this person. Yeah. I'm ready. I'll beat the shit out of everybody. And then they say, no, I don't want to fight this guy. I don't want to fight this guy. And then they make excuses. That pisses me off.
So has Kenny like seemed confident to fight?
Very, very. Kenny is not, and I'm not talking about Kenny. I'm not pissed off at Kenny, honestly. I just think that too many chefs in the kitchen sometimes spoil the broth, and they're just people are saying he doesn't have much to gain from fighting AT, and I don't think that that's the case at all. I think he has a lot to gain, and he'd get a lot of respect for beating AT, and AT would similarly, it'd be a great test for AT as well. I think it's a great test for both of them. I don't know anyone who's improved as much as Kenny on the roster this year.
Yeah, and if Kenny beats AT, that puts him above Salt Papi. It's the same scenario with Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, and KSI, right?
It's exactly the same thing. So if he ends up losing, then Salt Papi and Kenny are like, hey, we both lost to AT. Let's run this.
And here's another thing, right? You got to respect Kenny. How many fights has Kenny fought this year in the last fucking 12 months? It's insane. He's fought like
6 times.
6 fights. That is what no one else has had 6 fights. He's got more experience than anyone. So if he's not ready for Anthony Taylor, then who the fuck is?
But he is ready for Anthony Taylor. He's confirmed that, and so has Daly. They were not hesitant about Anthony Taylor. They weren't hesitant to fight him. Like I said, if they said to me, hey man, give us another 6 months, then I'm not pushing that fight. I promise you. I won't be like, oh no, you can do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to look at the guy who's been beaten in the ring and feel responsible for pushing someone into a fight that they weren't ready for. I'll never do that.
Yo, Wade is in here, guys. Wade Plum is in here.
Hey, you guys heard it first, man. Kenny needs to sign that fucking contract and stop worrying about what's going on. It's that fight. Let's make it
Well,
happen.
you know what I'm starting to think, AT? I'm starting to think that Kenny was always going to fight you, but he wanted to make some noise. Because, like, it is kind of smart. We're all talking about King Kenny.
It's true. He does, man. Man, if he is, that's fucking genius, and I fell for it.
Yeah, listen, like I
Yeah.
said this a second ago, I think the space ended or something, but
My bad, my Metro Wi-Fi.
No, you're good, bro. I think this fight is again, we put the colloquials out there, pro versus influencer. I want a skill-based match, and I think it's a massive test for Kenny, like I said, but with risk comes the reward, right? What it does for Kenny, if that question's being asked, is again, we saw the respect that Salt Papi got from even losing to Anthony Taylor in the way he lost. You know, it wasn't necessarily like he got dominated. You know, it was more, okay, well, hey, this was a close fight. Anthony Taylor happened to win, but this shows that maybe Papi wasn't necessarily ready to overcome this challenge, but that he was fit for the challenge. And I think that maybe Jarvis, again, I love watching Jarvis fight. I think he's gotten so much better being in Vegas. And I think with another year, this is what Gibb even said. He goes, Jarvis is me 3 years ago. Time is all he needs. But again, like I think Mams said this earlier, if you bring him in straight away to Misfits and he loses on that Misfits kind of debut after the loss to Gibb, you're kind of stuck with where to put him because now, as a bigger influencer, he's in the same boat as a lot of the other guys. He doesn't want to take a first guy coming in, but that's kind of where he has to be.
Yeah, and like you said, Wade, losing is not the end of the world on influencer boxing. But why reduce your purse and reduce your stock by losing 2 in a row? And if he lost badly to Kenny, it would do exactly that. And I'd rather build Jarvis and build him on Misfits.
He only has 2 fights.
And have
he only has 2 fights.
Exactly. He just needs more time and experience. That's it. But I admire the balls.
That's what
on
I
him.
said.
He's
I was like, this dude's a gangster, bro. I love that. But
yeah,
I've known that. I've known that when they stick Jarvis in with Carmel Moulton in Vegas, and that kid's gonna win multiple world titles. He's gonna be, he's that next tank they have down there, and they stick him in there, and Jarvis is like, all right, cool, let's go. The man is a fighter, but let's have Kenny take that same. And I know what the beta. I told this a second ago. I know what the beta squad is thinking. They're like, damn, Kenny just keeps getting tough fights, and I see that from their perspective. But Kenny's not the one. Kenny's down. He's game, dude. Like when I was in there on the Kingpin stuff, and I would talk to Kenny, there's not a man in this scene he fears at all. It's more so, I think, like Mam said, the people that are around him, and Daly should do this, and same with the beta squad guys. They should be like, yo, our guy, we should spotlight him. We should look for the most favorable things for him. That's what every manager / whatever should do. But I can guarantee you, Kenny is game, dude. So,
in any other position than what he's in now, to be honest, just like Salt Papi. But if he wins, doesn't it elevate him? Because as everyone says, AT is the gatekeeper. Wouldn't it just elevate him to the levels of like KSI fights or Jake Paul and all of that?
that's what the biggest thing is. Like, imagine, and I know that this is Mams hosting this, so I know that, we want KSI, and I want KSI to beat Tommy Fury, but just imagine if Tommy is to go in there and beat KSI, and the only 2 representatives we have in this community on this side of things, on the Misfits side, to have faced Tommy Fury are KSI and Anthony Taylor. And let's just say that Kenny beats Anthony Taylor. All of a sudden, you look at him, granted, it's not the same, right? The skill levels, obviously, Tommy is up there, but you look at him the same as going, wow, okay, well, this is a massive win for Kenny now, even more so, just by association with the Tommy Fury name. You know what I'm saying? And the KSI name and all those names at the top.
And we got to remember, yes, Kenny has lost a couple fights, but have we ever seen Kenny like actually take real damage other than that Sensei standing 8?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sensei cracked him with shots throughout that fight. Like, people forget about the third round. He cracked him in the fourth too. But right, Kenny's a very smart fighter as well. And again, that is the challenge of this fight. Kenny has to be able to bring out that Wenderson performance again versus another guy with heavy pressure. And like I said, at the end of the day, it comes down to throw away the colloquials, throw away the fear of losing in this pro versus influencer thing, because it's not quite the same. Like, we're using that term pro like we would with Idris or Tommy if he was fighting Kenny. Like, we're not using it correctly here. Let's go skill for skill. And skill for skill, is it a massive test? Yes. Is it something Kenny can do? In my opinion, yeah. So, yeah.
No one's going to be like, oh, shit, Kenny's the next guy. We're kind of expecting that to happen. Whereas as he goes in there and beats Anthony Taylor, it's like, okay, now what's next for Kenny? He's going to go to fucking KSI. He could call out whoever the fuck he wants because he just beat the quote-unquote gatekeeper who South Papi just lost to. Beating Jarvis is nothing for Kenny. Like, that's what
It's
I
not.
see.
It's not that it's nothing. It's still a big win, right? Any win in our space is a big win. But I agree with you, and I know for a fact, I know that Daly has been watching KSI. And not to say the fight ever happens, but I know that there is a thought. Like, even when, who was it? When Dylan fell out and they were looking for a replacement. I don't know if y'all remember, Kenny poked his head up and said, hey, I'm here if y'all want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he
did.
Yeah.
He didn't hesitate.
He was there ready
He
to
didn't
go.
hesitate.
So it's like I said, Kenny fears no man in this scene. And I'm not saying that to say Jarvis does. He doesn't either. The kid is a gangster. It's just what's best in this moment. And two, I didn't know this was going to be for a title. Once I heard the title was going to be on the line, I understand Misfits wants to legitimize their own belt. Right?
Exactly.
You want to legitimize that with people, one, that have fought on your promotion. And I get that. And two, experience. And Jarvis is right there at that 1-1 level, right? You want to see him get some more fights under, and then the belts will be there.
Hey,
yeah,
100%. Hey, yo, AT, I'm about to say something. I don't take this as a disrespect, all right?
Go for it, Wayne. Go
while
for it.
AT was a stripper, King Kenny was in the ring in a boxing fight. I'm just saying, this is a hot take. King Kenny has more experience than AT. So, this is a 50-50 fight. So, this fight should happen 100%. That's just my opinion, 100%.
Hey, when we look at King Kenny, look, man, King Kenny is what, 6 feet, 6'1"? He's a lot taller than me.
Yeah, he has the reach,
hell of a jab.
everything.
He has the reach, he has the speed, he has the power.
And he has the boxing
5'1"
experience.
fighter.
And he has the boxing
Hey,
experience.
I've only been fighting for about 2 years boxing.
Yeah.
If Ben Askren came into the scene and he started winning, well, Ben Askren's a pro fighter. Well, you just saw Ben Askren get knocked out by Jake Paul a couple years ago.
King Kenny been fighting since he was like 6 years old. Yeah, 100%. You have more, bro.
Kenny has not been fighting since he was 6 years old.
Yeah, Wayne. That's not
bro. Wade. His brother is a fighter. Obviously, he was in a boxing ring. You can't tell me.
I'm telling you for a fact. I watched the first sessions of Kenny, and he was not in a boxing ring since he was 6 years old.
How long he was in the boxing ring then? Because his brother's a boxer.
When he started is when he started boxing. No joke.
All right, I gotta be calculated. There's no way you're.
Bro, Wayne, it's the difference between training and being around it. I feel like you don't. That's what.
Yeah, he's been around.
Hey, Mams. I heard that Kenny is really 35 and he changed his birth certificate. That's why he's going bald.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll just say this: like, I think it's an exciting fight. I think it's something that should happen, and just like Wade said, it legitimizes the title much more. Like Jarvis's team said, look, let us know Salt Papi. We'll take Salt Papi. We'll take Anthony Taylor. We'll take Kenny. And now they see a slight opening because of fans. But I'm not gonna make that fight happen. I'm not gonna make that fight happen. It makes no sense for the title, And it just, it's not that I don't care what fans say, but first of all, it was a 52%, 48% vote. Secondly, so it wasn't some landslide of like fans demand this match. It wasn't, and I think this is a better fight, more exciting fight. And to me, this is a 50-50 fight. It really is.
Mams, the Jarvis and Salt Papi fight makes more sense in my opinion.
100%, Wade. 100%.
Like, why not even look at that? Because Salt Papi's what's Salt Papi 3-4 fights in right now, and just lost to Anthony
Salt,
Taylor. He
That is
might
Salt
only
have
ten.
Puppy
somebody,
has
by
a
the way. I don't know. He might already have an opponent.
yeah. Salt Puppy has a signed
Okay.
opponent,
Hey,
and I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed with that one.
all right, I'm gonna say something. All right, before anybody calls me a meat writer, all right. So
Hard to
everybody
get
was
that fight. Keem will tell you. Me and Keem were on the phone every day arguing about
100%.
making that fight happen because it was either going to be Salt Puppy versus Callum Izzard, which is a great fight, by the way, but fans didn't know Callum enough to really get behind that. And I didn't want to disappoint fans, so they were like, no, let's make AT happen. So we made that vote happen, and you guys know the rest. The rest is history. But I don't think that loss to AT has affected Salt Puppy's stock. It didn't rise his stock, but it certainly didn't. It gave him a chance to go. His coach was on the phone with me 2 days ago saying that was the best thing that could have happened to Papi. He's gone in now. He's got a different outlook on fighting. He's got a whole different outlook. And I think what happens sometimes is if you do not that Salt Puppy is not a humble guy. He's always been a humble, respectful guy. Even his shit talking is respectful. Okay, he's a great kid, but I think sometimes you if until you taste that loss, you don't know where you're at, and when you know where you're at, then you can plan on where you're going a whole lot better. Be like, okay, I need to improve this. I need to figure this out. I need to not be as one-dimensional when I'm in there. The counter punch, Papi, we know what he's capable of with that counter punch, but AT had answers for that. So now he's got to go back and say, all right, if someone's got answers for my strengths, I need to have other things in the tank ready to shoot, other more ammunition. And I think he's worked on that a lot. So, listen, a Salt Papi Anthony Taylor rematch down the line as well would make a lot of sense. And
100%.
if let's say Kenny does win, one of the concerns I think was, hey, if I beat AT, everyone's going to be too afraid to fight me. And that's just not true. If he beats AT, I know for a fact Gib would want to fight him regardless. I know for a fact Salt Papi would want to fight him regardless. And there's the Jarvis fight. If Jarvis has another fight with, let's say Jarvis fights McBroom and beats McBroom, then at that point he's had a little more experience. It makes a little more sense. Or if he has two fights and then comes and fights against Kenny, that makes more sense to me. Two more wins and then you're on the same level, kind of. Or at least you're a perceived challenge. At this point, the votes. I don't know. There's this kid who does votes for everything. Literally, whatever anyone says. What's his name?
Usman is Usman.
Usman.
It's Usman.
Yeah. He's a good kid, but he does these votes for everything. And I saw there was like 1,000 people that voted, and it was 80-20 in the favor of what's his name? In the favor of Kenny against Jarvis. So people know that Kenny's a heavy favorite in that fight, whereas the Anthony Taylor Kenny fight was 50-50.
100%. And Ashley beat King Kenny and AT beat Ashley. So this fight just makes more sense, 100%.
Potential contender there as well. I think I don't know how a rematch between Ashley and Kenny goes, but if I'm Kenny, on some level, you want to avenge your losses.
Ashley
Yeah.
is the only Misfit fighter that's like openly being like, "I'll fight Salt Papi."
He's always said that. Yeah.
He's been very vocal about that. Yeah. Mams, I've got a question. If it's not AT against Kenny for a title match, who else is there that's actually been in the Misfit scene that could go against Kenny?
Well,
Gib.
but
He hasn't fought Misfits.
That's okay.
Okay.
I mean, look, I want to give that fight to people when it makes sense.
Yeah, Gib would make
but
way more sense because it doesn't have to be done on Misfits for us to understand he's won fights in the influencer boxing scene.
Gib,
Exactly. What is that narrative?
it's just a strange mind fuck to me. I don't get it because now I saw an interview from Liam, who honestly I get along great with. But he's saying Misfits never made offers to Gib after he signed with Kingpin, which is not true. We've
Yeah.
consistently always made offers to him. Obviously, once the tournament started, we kind of backed off and said, all right, well, he's going to do his thing. Does that mean he's not going to fight till round 2? No, he's not. He's just going to focus on the tournament. Okay, cool. Then we won't make any offers. But even after we realized that Kingpin finals wasn't going to happen anytime soon, if at all, then I had a chat with Liam and I said, hey, if when Gibbs ready to fight on Misfits, if it's on the prime card or if it's on another card, let's have the conversation. So I don't know, like, does he mean I didn't make offers in writing or what? Because I've always said Gibbs got a home on Misfits if he wants it. So
The problem is in that clip, it just seems like so not true. But again, it's a clip, and it's like, who's got time to go watch the full interview,
yeah,
get the full context? Like, but in the clip, it looks like it's bullshit.
yeah, because Keem, that I've spoken to Gib to Liam about Gib many times.
Right.
Because it's been with some of your fighters.
Yeah, and you've stated that you've offered them before from like Misfits 1 to 5 previously.
I think where was Telford? 6 or 5? That was 5, right?
Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah, Telford was 5, I think.
One issue that I have is that the Beta Squad guys were like trying to make this a clout issue. They're like, look, Jarvis has way more clout. It's like, hey guys, come on, we got to be real, all right? First of all, King Kenny and Jarvis and Gibb and Whindersson Nunes and Austin, you all were on Kingpin and you only did 30,000 pay-per-views. Like, come, let's be real. This is not a clout thing. Like, come on, let's be honest.
No. Honestly, Prime Card, with the current lineup we have, King Kenny versus AT does not add significant pay-per-view buys, and that doesn't mean that that's not a great fight, and I don't value both King Kenny and AT, but I don't need that fight. It's not a necessity to have it. It's for me, this is an opportunity for us to showcase that these influencers, these crossover guys, there's going to be so many new eyeballs from all walks of life. You've got people like Cedric Gervais and Tiesto commenting on Dylan Dennis's post saying they're going to watch the fight. You've got all the British, all the UK Fury fans going to watch the fight. You've got the MMA community going to watch the fight. You've got a whole lot of eyeballs that have never seen Misfits boxing before going to watch. So I want to put my best foot forward and grow our company and grow the attention that all of these guys have. This is the big stage. This is the card that everybody wants to be on to display and showcase their talent. Because if I'm watching as a casual fan who doesn't really know Misfits boxing, if I'm a Tommy Fury fan, if I'm a fan of Dylan Dennis or a fan of MMA that wants to see Dylan Dennis get beat up or any of that stuff, I'm gonna watch this and see King Kenny versus AT and think, holy shit, some of these guys are pretty damn good, and the other fights, obviously, potentially, you guys know, some of the biggest names, they're all gonna be on here. And if I'm watching that card, I'm now a new fan of Misfits boxing. Wow, this is entertaining. This is cool. These guys put on exciting shows. So to me, it's the opportunity for them as well as myself and the rest of the team to put on the best show possible. But we don't need it in terms of numbers and profit and pay-per-view buys. It's not going to add a significant amount of extra buys.
100%. Hey, before we go to Paul, yo, Mams, I have a question. How many influencers has like DM'd you and say, "Can I be on the Prime card?" You don't gotta say names though.
Everyone, not just influencers, just everyone.
Damn. Crazy. 100%. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, let's keep it
Yo,
real. Who wants to
Mams,
see Jarvis?
bro, this card's gonna be crazy, bro.
Yo, Fozzie, stop cutting niggas off.
Yo, who would rather see Jarvis at a press conference than Anthony Taylor? Like, let's be real.
Jarvis is a great content creator too. If he puts his time and energy into it, that's why he amassed a following. He's got his charm as well. But I think let's build his potential. Let's fulfill his potential by giving him more evenly matched fights. Him against McBroom is the perfect fight. It really is. There's a story there.
Like that.
They dislike each other in real life. They don't like each other. They had the social gloves history between them. And both of them lost to Gibb. you know, so that was their last fight, a loss to give.
And also, with everyone who is complaining about Anthony, and full disclosure, I work with Anthony, so but you guys got to realize still, no matter what, in MMA he was fighting at 145 and 155. So like, regardless, he's always fighting bigger dudes. That's not like in real boxing that never happens. He's fighting 40, 30 pounds heavier than he fights in MMA. Like that's not realistic at all in real boxing.
Anthony has one of the biggest ranges of weight that I've seen.
Like imagine if you put him against a like, I don't know, I forgot what weight class you guys are doing specifically, but say it was in the super welterweight, like 154 or 147.
Yeah, Anthony, you can make that weight. You've done it before.
I said I can make as low as 145, possibly 145 to fight Wally Sharks. That's the lowest I could probably go, but I would need like 3 months to get down there.